Okay, good morning, everyone. And today we are in session number 16. So far, we have completed 15 successful session. And today we are going to talk about Amazon SQS, that is simple query service, and simple notification service, and simple workflow service. Uh, Apart from that, we are going to talk about AWS risk and compliance program. Okay, moving to the agenda slide. Uh, this is today agenda, AWS SQS on overview, and how the messages is going to from one place to another place within the components that we are going to discuss in the message lifecycle and message attributes. And finally, we are going to review quickly what we have discussed and moving to the next one on simple notification service, how notification is working, and before that, what is the notification service and how we are going to use that one. Next, we are going to talk about simple notification service lifecycle. Followed by, we are going to talk about SWS, that is the simple workflow service. We are going to talk about introduction, and we are going to talk about after, and we are going to talk about the AWS risk and compliance program. It is completely optional program, and you will not get even single question from the topic. So it is up to you. You want to stay back or you want to leave early, but this is the optional program. You will not get any questions. And finally, we are going to do some hands-on in SQS, SNS, and simple workflow service. So here, sorry, typo. And here, we already talked about a simple notification service in our third session. That is, we have created a alarm, CloudWatch alarm. You may know that when we have created, so that time we have created simple notification service. But for your quick reference, I'm going to cover here also because you will get 3 to 4 questions in your examination, so that you are able to quickly that means select those correct answers, followed by you will get correct marks for those questions. So it is a simple topic, and simply you can score marks in this topic. So uh, again, you are able to understand easily. Let's see to the next slide. Okay. Before going to talk about AWS SQS, okay, so we are in WhatsApp group, right? Simple. So we are into AWS WhatsApp group, or we are into testing WhatsApp group, or we are into PMP WhatsApp group, right? So you already know that there are 257 maximum people allowed in any WhatsApp group, right? So for example, when health discussion is going on, and people start commenting or messaging or sharing their opinion in that group. Okay, so everybody is typing simultaneously, and how the messages are displaying in that group. Is it confused mode? Every message is displaying same thing? No, it is not. Okay, so it is displaying one by one. For example, you and me, two people are composing same time and delivering same time. These messages again will be displayed one by one. That means so all the messages will goes into that queue, and based on that priority, the message will be displayed. The priority is not in hours, not in minutes, not even in the seconds. It is in the milliseconds of latency, how the queue is getting the message. So based on that, it will be prioritized and message, displayed in our group. Okay. So similar concept, we are going to talk about SQS. I think you are able to understand how the SQS is working, right? In WhatsApp messages or any text messages are in our same mechanism here also we are going to use. Okay. So before going to the SQS in detail, for example, there are 3 EC2 instances running in your application. You are passing messages, or you are sending the notification from multiple components into um, that means to other components to process that message. So in that case, what will happen? So all the messages is queued, and how and when they have to deliver to other component. Okay. For example, you have configured your email either it's a corporate email or Gmail or Yahoo Mail, whatever it is in your cell phone, right? So if you have opted for the notification service in your Google Play Store or your Apple Store, App Store, um, whenever you are getting the new email, you are getting the notification, right? So you are getting one email from the sender like that. So like that, uh, the messages will be queued and displayed within the components of the AWS. I think you are able to understand how and where we are working, where it is working. Okay, now we will go in detail about SQS. But before going to that, discussing in the first slide, I will go to the second slide and come back to the first slide so that you are able to understand in detail. Okay, so this is actually typical picture, right? So where you are waiting in the restaurant or that queue service wherever they're implementing or any programs you are going on, right? So first come first serve basis, people are standing here. It's a queue service, and for example, you are going with as a family. There are four people are standing there. Okay, sometimes within the four people they may adjust the line, right? Not going here in the front, not going in the back, but within these four people or five people, they're able to adjust their queue in the line, right? So like that, the mechanism also will work. Okay, so why I told this about these four or five people, that is the different story. I will explain you next. But at this moment, just to think about this picture, people are standing in the queue to get the food from the store. Okay, and especially I'm talking about these five people. Okay, there are the family members, and they are able to adjust their queue within them, but not with any other people. Okay, so just note this point, and I will come back why I told about these five people. Okay, so now moving to the first slide. Okay, so Simple Queue Services is a fully managed messaging queue service that enables you to decouple and scale microservice, distributed systems, and the serverless application. So it is a just queuing service. That's all, nothing else. Okay, so Amazon Web Services is the very famous for the Simple Queue service. It is just queuing the messages or distributed systems or microservices or anything with serverless applications or with the EC2 instances. For example, you already know that Lambda is a serverless application, serverless, right? And the EC2 is a right. So it will work in the both the end. And you already know that what is the microservices, right? So microservices means, for example, if you are developing an application, okay, so there are 10 developers are working in that developing an application. So all 10 pieces of that work, it's called as a microservices or micro work. So what will happen after all the 10 people has completed, it will be converted into a big module or the delivery, right? So like that, so you are able to do the microservices within this simple service queue, and it is just queuing the first come first serve basis or whatever it is. What are the types we have that we are going to discuss in the bottom slide. Okay, at this point you just remember it's a queue services provided by the Amazon, so it is simply called as a SQS. So SQS eliminates the complexity and overhead associated with the managing and operating messages oriented middleware and empowers developer to focus on differentiating work. So just if you are queuing your job, yeah, it will taken care by SQS. So you need not to focus on anything on those queue. You just to focus on your work. That's all. Using SQS, you can send, store, and receive messages between the software components at any volume without losing messages or requiring other services to be available. So it is safe and secure to send the messages, and you are able to send and store and receive messages. So by default, it will be available in AWS console. You already know that, and the command line interface CLI. You already know that, or SDK. That also you already know that. Okay, so anything you can use this SQS because it is a very important component within the AWS. Okay, as I said, there are two types of queues. One is a standard queue, and second one is first in first out queue. Okay, the standard queue and the first in first out queue we are going to talk about in detail in the next slides, upcoming slides. But at this moment, just to think about standard queues are the maximum throughput, best effort, ordering, and at least once delivery. But FIFO queues, first in first out queues, are designed to guarantee that message are processed to exactly once in the exact order that they are sent. Okay, so at this moment, in the slide perspective, you just think about a simple query service. It's just a query service, and there are two types of queries you have. One is the standard and first in first out query. So you will get one question related with the standard query and the first in first out, and you have to choose either one options accordingly. And whenever the exam perspective, if anything you are able to see in that question called as a decouple, then directly you can choose SQS. You no need to think about anything. Okay. Um, so this about the first slide. You may have some questions. We'll talk at the end. Okay. So now again, just remember this picture. We'll come back next. So next, how it is going to work? Simple query service. Okay. So there are two types of people. One is the producer, and another one is consumer that you already know in the general, right? So when producers are sending the messages to the queue to the consumers, okay, how it is going? First it will go to the queue, and the queue will be prioritized how they are receiving, and based on that it will be delivered. Okay, so this is actually simple queue service, how it works, and we have more examples, and we are able to understand how it is going to work. Okay, so here in this picture, I'm just we are going to talk about you are uploading a message, or consider you are uploading your pictures into Facebook. Right? So whenever you are uploading your picture into Facebook, Facebook will store into their server. Okay, and they will add the date and time into that picture, so that whenever you are getting 1 year or 2 years anniversary, it will pop up that hey, 1 year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, like that. Okay, so consider like that of scenario. Okay, so now I'm explaining this picture so that you are able to understand how SQ is working, and how the Facebook they have uploaded whatever you have uploaded photos, it is displaying with the 1 year ago kind of thing, right? So what you are doing here, you are able to see a small picture over here, and in the laptop or desktop, whatever, you are uploading a image. Okay, consider your picture, and the web server, whatever attached with your laptop, whenever you are typing www or https, it is displaying that web page, and you are uploading that image. And as soon as you are click upload, what it will happen, it is uploading that image into that S3 bucket. Okay, so after uploading this message into S3 bucket, okay, it will send a message to that queue. Okay, that queue will receive the message and keeps in the queue, and waiting Lambda for the processing. Okay, so why Lambda has to process? Okay, so the queue will be display the list of messages whatever it has received. Okay, so some component or some structure or some functionality is supposed to be pull that messages from the queue. Okay, you have to understand one important concept here. SQS is working in a pull mechanism. Okay, not push mechanism. So the queue needs to be the queue, whatever it has that messages, it's supposed to be pulled by some functions. Usually it is Lambda. Okay, so that whenever there is a message, Lambda will check that messages, and pull that messages from that queue. Okay, so now whatever the uploaded messages, it is there. Okay, so in that queue. Okay, so Lambda will pull or polls, both are the same meaning, so you no need to confuse. And the Lambda, what it will happen, it polls and retrieves that messages from that queue, and it will add other information, like the metadata information, when it was created or when it was uploaded, with the date and time. And what will happen again, after adding that information, it again sent to S3 to store that images here. So that is saving the image back to the S3 bucket. So this is actually simple mechanism how the typical uploaded picture is uploaded into that web services, and how it is processed and how it is stored back, adding with the date and time, whatever it is in that S3 bucket. So here you are able to understand how you are notified that message to that queue, and that how the queue is processing, right? So this is actually a simple picture you to understand. Okay. Next, I'm going to the standard queue. Then you are able to understand how it works. Okay. So in the first slide, we have mentioned it's unlimited throughput, at least once delivery, and the best effort handling. Okay. So now let's see how it works, and um, how we are able to it is organized everything. So unlimited throughput means standard queue support a nearly unlimited number of transactions per second. That is called a TPS, API action. So if you have, you can have as many API actions, so that whenever you are throwing that messages, so it will be queued and delivered. At least once delivery, a message is delivered at least once, but occasionally more than one copy of message is delivered. That is the actual queue mechanism. Okay, it is very rare to deliver the message more than once, and not every message should be delivered more than once. It's a famous exam topic. That is how it is going to deliver. And best effort ordering, occasionally messages might be delivered in an order different from which they were sent. Okay, actually, typically it is not a first in first out. Okay, but it is a key mechanism. Whatever it is getting, and like that same thing, it is going to be delivered. But sometimes it may be missing. Okay, so in this picture also you are able to see how it is going to receive these messages from one end, and how it is going to deliver in the other end. Okay. So now I'm going to the next slide, and we are able to understand some examples over here. You can use the standard message queues in many scenarios, as long as your application can process messages that arrive more than once and out of order. That means you have to process that message as soon as it's come. Okay, but if it is not able to process within the timeline, what will happen? That will discuss in the upcoming slides. But at this moment, just to see these three examples. So decouple live user records from the intensive background work, that is let users upload media while resizing or encoding it. Okay, and process a high number of credit card validation requests. Okay, that time multiple worker nodes, how it is allocated, and batch messages for future processing. For example, schedule multiple entries to be added to a database. So such scenarios you can use the standard queues. Okay, so now going back to that slide. Okay, so here again, these four people in the four or five people standing in this as a family here in the queue, and they are able to move within themselves. Okay, but they cannot move either here or here. Okay, so in that case, so typically this is actually working as a standard queue. Okay, uh, they are able to interchange their places. Okay, but they will deliver everywhere at least once. Okay, sometimes it may be delivered more than once, very rarely. Okay, if it is a first in first out queue, okay, these five people, they will not change their place. It will goes in the order. So first come first out kind of thing. Okay, so moving to the next slide, first in first out queues. Okay, there are three things you are able to understand. One is the high throughput. Okay, by default, first in first out queues support up to 30 messages per second. That is 30 send, 30 receive, or delete operation per second. When you batch 10 messages per operation, that first come first served, that type of queues can support up to 3000 messages per second. And the main difference between the standard queues and FIFO queues is exactly once processing this FIFO queues. That is, message is delivered once and remains available until the consumer process and deletes it. That is a very important concept. Duplicates aren't introduced into that queue. But the standard queue, the message will be confirmed delivered. Sometimes it will be delivered more than once. So you need not delete that queue. But for first come first served, it will be definitely will be delivered in the order whatever they receive it. But as soon as it will be receive it, you have to delete that queue. So that is very important. No duplication in first in first out. So that also it's another important point. And the order in which messages are sent and received is strictly preserved like this. For example, one is came in and 2, 3, 4, 5 like that it came. So like that it goes out also. I'm just mentioning the hour more so that you are able to understand. Okay. So continuing that FIFO, okay, FIFO queues are designed to enhance messages between application when the order of operation and events is critical or where duplicates can be tolerated. For example, if you are booking a flight ticket, okay, only 2 seats are available in particular airline for the particular route. So in that case, you and 100 other people are trying to book. Okay, in that case, that kind of critical events, what will happen? That queue will be that means segment like first in first out kind of thing, so that they are able to book as per the order wise. Okay, if for example if only 2 tickets are available, but there are 100 people are in the queue. First 2 people are there trying to ticket book the ticket, one and one or two like that. So in that case, if that credit card payment is not going through, what will happen? It's temporarily block that seat. Then after 2 minutes, it will be released again, and it's available for the next person. Okay, in the case, what will happen? Whosoever the credit card fail, okay, he will be uh, out of that queue. And again, if he wants to be in the queue, he again has to do that, repeat that activity whatever he does earlier. So such scenarios you have to go for first in first out queue. Okay, ensure that user entered commands are executed in the right order and display the correct product price by sending price modification in the right order. Prevent a student from enrolling a course before registering for an account. So these are the all activities happening first, then these activities going to happen next. So for example, a student supposed to be uh, registered followed by the enrolling. Okay, it will not happen the other end. Okay, so like these scenarios you will go for first in first out queue. Okay, so you are able to see here how it works. Okay, so NQ and DQ, and so here this is the back and this is the front, and how we are getting the order, and it will be processed accordingly. So queues are first in first out abstract data type. So you need not remember this one, but you just think about this one. It's a very simple concept though. Okay. So in AWS, how it display? Okay. So we are getting messages from the group B and messages from the group A, messages from group C. So there are several components are passing the messages, and queue is uh, continuously doing the that means queuing these messages. And so here last in and here is the first in, and how it process this queue is the whatever the publisher passing this information, and the receiver will receive this information in this order. B1 is the first one, B2 is the second, B3 is the third, next A1, A2, A3, and if C1, C2, C3, like that, it will be received. Okay, so this kind of mechanism in AWS it works, and I think it is fair enough to discussing about this one. And moving to the life cycle perspective, here whenever the component one sending the messages to the queue, okay, so you have a visibility timeout log. Okay, so that messages will be displayed only with that visibility timeout, how much you have set up that time. So the component A, um, that means these messages will goes here, and it will be displayed within that time limit. And what will happen? The component 2 receive the messages from the queue, and the visibility timeout period starts. Okay, so here you are able to see. the time we have started here, and here you are able to see visibility timeout clock, how it moves. And the third one, component 2 process the message A and they delete it from the queue during the visibility timeout period. So this is actually simple life cycle perspective, message life cycle perspective in SQS, but you will not get any questions related with the life cycle. You will get questions related with standard queue and first in first out queue. That's all. No need to worry about this life cycle. If you're not able to understand life cycle also, that is okay. But just try to understand high level. It may be useful for your job related things. Okay. So it's a very important slide. You will get to one question or sometimes two questions in your examination from this slide. Okay. So message attributes, we are going to talk about, that means create unlimited Amazon SQS queues with unlimited number of messages in any region like that. That means it is not a region specific. Okay, you can create a SQS any queue and you can replicate to other region also. And a very important concept, the message contain up to 256 KB in any format. Okay, and send, receive, delete messages in batches of up to 10 messages or 256 KB. You have to understand two important concepts. One is long polling and another one is short polling. I didn't mention the short polling because there is a reason behind. I will let you know next. But at this moment, long polling. Okay, how these messages will work means whenever the messages sent from the multiple components and all the messages is going to the SQS queue. Okay, right? And some Lambda or some other services will trigger and it will be pulled from the queue. Okay, as soon as the messages is pulled by the Lambda, everything will be okay. But if somehow it will not be pulled because there is no message when Lambda called, and again it will be displayed after Lambda will process. That means whatever the process the Lambda function triggered the function, and whatever the queue. Okay, there are totally two different kinds of thing. Okay, straightforward. Um, you can use either EC2 instances to pull that message or Lambda to pull the messages from the queue. Okay, so the queue is has one message. When Lambda is coming and processing that messages, everything is fine. If uh, when Lambda is going to trigger there, but there is no more messages, then what will happen? The Lambda will complete that process and move forward. But after move forward, the one message is coming and it's sitting in the queue and it is not processed because Lambda is already triggered and at that time it was no messages. Now what will happen? Again, it will wait until Lambda is coming and processing. Okay, so it will increase the cost because again you are triggering that Lambda function. So what will happen typically? Um, Okay, so the Lambda, whenever it is going to trigger and see the messages, anything available in that queue for processing, if it is no messages, then what will happen? You can set the wait second, 30 seconds like that over there, so that the Lambda will wait for 30 seconds to see any messages is coming instead of just processing if no messages kind of thing, so that you are able to save the cost significantly over there, just adding 30-second rule over there. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here, so you are setting in the 20-second or 30-second whatever, right? So if you are make that Lambda is wait till 20 to 30 seconds, so that kind of thing is called as a long polling. But whereas there is no wait and immediately the Lambda is processing in the 0 second. So that time it is called as a short polling. Okay, these are the two different things. Okay, here I have just clearly mentioned reduce extraneous polling to minimize cost while receiving a new messages as quickly as possible. When your queue is empty, long poll requests wait up to 20 seconds for the next messages to arrive. So you are able to save the cost over there. So the messages in the queue for up to that is 1 minute to 14 days, and By default, it is 1 day. When we are going for the hands-on, you are able to see that one. And you can send and read messages simultaneously. You need not wait to send, and after receiving, you are again sending, not like that. And the message locking, when a message is received, it becomes locked while being processed. Protect the contents a message in SQS queues using keys managed in the AWS key management service. It's typically like other services. So these are the message attributes. You may get 1 or 2 questions from this slide. Okay. And if you have any questions, I will take at the end. And the attributes perspective, we have to understand one important concept called dead letter queue. Uh, Amazon SQS provides a support for dead letter queues. Okay, what is that? A dead letter queue is a queue that other queues can target to send messages that for some reason could not be successfully processed. Okay, uh, that means that message is missed to delivery. So in that case, what will happen? So you are analyzing uh, how the message has been missed, and why it is not delivered, kind of thing. So that is called as a dead letter queue. And resiliency, that is a part of system fails. It doesn't need to take the entire system down. Message queues decouple components of your system. So if a process that is reading messages from the queue fails, messages can still be added to the queue to be processed when the system recovers. So this is actually resilience feature. The dead letter queue, you will get a one questions out of 100 people. So not sure whether you will get that question or not, but it's the best to know in case if you are attending the examination and if you are getting the questions dead letter queue, then you are able to answer them. But it's not very hard. It is easy to understand. Okay. So this about SQS, and this last slide for SQS, we are talking about the differentiation between standard queue and FIFO queue once again, because it is very important slide to understand for your examination. Here, just to simply you have to understand all the messages will be delivered by standard queue, guaranteed. The order is not guaranteed. Okay, and sometimes the messages may be delivered more than once. But whereas the FIFO queue, all the messages will be delivered exactly once, and you need to delete that message after receiving. Okay, and the messages will be delivered as it was received. So these are the two main difference and very important for your examination. This about SQS and SNS. It's very simple. It's a simple notification service. We are going to talk about in the next slide. Simple notification service is a highly available, durable, secure, and fully managed hub sub, that is a publisher and subscriber messaging service that enables you to decouple microservice, distributed system, and the serverless application. And this also provide a high throughput, push-based many-to-many messaging. The main difference between SQS and SNS is SQS is a pull-based service, but SNS is a push-based service. So messages, whenever it will be pushed. Okay, for example, you are working in an organization and your company is announcing to all their employees that until June 30th you are going for work from home. Okay, in the case it's a push message, right? That means that subscriber, whosoever the authority in your organization, they are sending emails for hundreds of thousands of employees. Okay, you are not pulling anything in that mailbox or anything. It's directly coming to your mailbox. It's a push service from the publisher to subscriber, like that for magazine subscription, right? So that, whenever the publisher is sending the messages about their new magazine, you are directly receiving that information. So like that, it's a notification service from AWS. Okay, so it is a uh, publisher and the subscriber kind of notification service. You have to remember that one. And using a SNS topic, um, your subscribers, your publisher system can fan out messages to a large number of subscriber endpoints for parallel processing. Fan out means it's a parallel processing. I have one separate slide for that. Okay, that also every 50 people you will get one question related with the fan out. Okay, but it is easy to answer. All the questions from SQS, SNS, and SWS is easy to answer. So no worries. You can score all questions correctly. Uh, just to understand the concept. That's all. You need not think much because it's easily scoreable marks in this topic. And what the fan out means, you can receive a message and you can process that messages to the SQS queue or Lambda function or HTTPS webhooks. Anything you can process simultaneously. That is called a fan out. And SNS consists of two types of clients. As I said, it's a publisher and a subscriber. Publisher communicate to subscribers asynchronously by sending messages to a topic. A topic is simply a logical access point communication channel that contains a list of subscribers and the methods used to communicate to them. When you send a message to a topic, it is automatically forwarded to each subscriber on the topic using the communication method configured for that subscriber. For example, if you are subscribing a magazine, it's a paper-based or uh, email or e-content based. Okay, digital delivery based. So how you have subscribed, you will the messages the magazines will be delivered accordingly. For example, if you have digital subscription, as soon as it's available in the site, you will get notified. Or paper-based means as soon as it will be ready, you will get a paper-based book, right? So similarly, it will work. Okay, so it's a life cycle of SNS in this slide. So how publisher sending the messages, okay, from one side, and how the Amazon SNS fully managed PubSub messages and event-driven computing service is working. And the SNS topping decouple messages publisher from the subscriber with the topic, so it will gather all the information to whom you have to send. And message filtering and fan out, filter the messages according to a subscription filter policies and deliver them to the subscribers. Okay, if directly you are working in the HTTPS, it's a web delivery, it will display in your website, or it's a simple queue services, and from there you are moving to your S3. Okay, you are able to see that document in messages in S3, or you are using Lambda, and that Lambda is delivering the content in somewhere, whatever the place you have mentioned. So this is actually simple SNS life cycle. From this slide also, you will not get any question from the AWS, but it's good to know how it works or what is the life cycle of SNS. Okay, so this is actually one more simple diagram, how publisher publishing the topic and how it delivers to the multiple subscribers over here. Okay, so now we are able to understand how it works, right? And here I want to include this picture because yeah, it will be combination of SNS and SQS. Okay, so here is the producers and here is the consumers. Okay, so here there are several producers. They are sending the messages to the various consumers. Okay, and here the queue will process that messages and that means delivered to that consumers whatever the subscribe model or method they have used. Okay, this actually simple diagram for you to understand. Okay, so this about the fan out. This is not very hard topic to remember. Okay, just to understand what are the publishers sending the SNS topic. SNS topic means it has a title and all other information we have. And they are delivering to the multiple components within the TWS. Okay, so this actually called as a fan out. Okay, here I have mentioned a fan out scenario is when and Amazon SNS message sent to a topic and then replicated and pushed to multiple Amazon queues, HTA endpoints or email addresses, whatever the mechanism we have mentioned, it will be delivered accordingly. This about fan out. Okay, so this about SQS and SNS. Now we are quickly talking about SWS. You may get one questions in your only one question in your examination related with SWS, simple workflow services. Okay, if you are going for the second attempt kind of thing, you may get confirm one question, sometimes two questions. Okay, it depends on the scenario. But at this moment, we have to understand what is the simple workflow service. Okay, the simple workflow services make it easy to build applications that coordinate work across distributed components. Okay, so before explaining the simple workflow services, any questions that talk about the task related, how it will be performed, or how the task will be generated, kind of thing. So you can blindly choose uh, uh, that is workflow service as an option, even though you have many other options. If anything related with the decoupled WAD, you can choose SQS, and anything related with the delivering the messages kind of thing, then you can choose as SNS. So these are the very simple concept of how to choose the correct answers in the examination. Okay. So uh, as I said, we have some authors kind of thing that we are going to talk about in the next slide. But at this moment, just understand what is the simple workflow service. It's a representative logical unit of work that performed by a component of your application, and it is actually all about coordination. Okay, the coordinating task access across the application involves managing the inter-task dependencies, and it's going to be scheduling and concurrency in accordance with the logical flow of the application. How you set up the flow, like that it will be processed, and it gives you full control over implementing and coordinating tasks without worrying about underlying complexities such as tracking their progress and maintaining their state. So as soon as you set up the workflow service, it will taken care. You just focus on your application development. The rest of them will be taken care by simple workflow service, and including monitor and everything. So when using Amazon simple workflow service, you implement workers to perform the task. These workers can run either a cloud infrastructure such as Amazon EC2 or even own premises. What is the worker, and what is the decider, everything we are going to discuss in the next slide. But at this moment, just to see this concept, that's all. Amazon simple workflow service store tasks, assign them to workers when they are ready. Okay, monitors their progress and maintains their state, including details of their completion. Each time it will be validate whether it is completed or not. Okay, and it will monitor as per the schedule, so that the task never missed to complete on time. With a simple workflow service, you can implement, deploy, scale, and modify these application components independently or all together. This about overall simple workflow service. And this diagram will says how it works. And for your convenience, you will not get any single question for your examination from this top in this slide. Okay, so just you have to understand how it works. Okay, so here front end, the number of tasks will be pipelined, and here the decider always make the decision on what task to be scheduled, when and what order, and based on that, simple workflow service will execute and deliver that task. So this is actually a simple diagram, and whenever you have time, just to go through this diagram, and feel free to ask me any questions. But in the next slide, we are talking about who is worker and workflow starters, deciders, and activity workers. Okay, so before that, it's a course of its operation. Simple workflow service interact with a number of different types of programmatic actors. Actors can be workflow starters, okay, deciders, or activity workers. All okay, all three we are simply calling as an actor. Sometimes you will get one questions related with the below actors are not valid in a simple workflow services. Okay, they will give deciders, activity workers, and workflow starters, and uh, some other option like manager. And you can directly we can eliminate that manager option. So you can choose that one and submit that. So one questions are sometimes you will get related to this slide. Okay, so who is worker? Workflow starters. Yeah, workflow starter is on any application that can initiate workflow execution. Okay, these people only execute workflow starters. Okay, in this slide, we are able to see that one, start workflow. Okay, and decider, that the decider only is going to see how the schedule looks like and what priority it is going to be processed, everything. That simply the decider is going to coordinate all the logic and all the work. Activity worker who perform that work. Simple. So workflow starter, they are starting the work, but before that, the decider will check everything and uh, um, the plan, schedule, everything. It will be decided by the decider, and after that, it will move to the workers so that the workers will perform that job. Okay. So this is simple diagram to show you. Okay, how it works. Okay. So workflow starters here, they are initiating the work, and activity workers, they are performing. But before that, the decider will plan everything so that these people work. Okay. And these are about SQS, SNS, and a simple workflow service. And risk and compliance program, you will not get any questions, honestly. But it's good to know what is risk and compliance program. Okay, AWS and its customers share um, that control over IT environment. Okay, so both the parties have responsibility for managing that environment. AWS part in this shared responsibility includes providing its services on a highly secured and controlled platform and providing a wide array of security features customer can use. Okay, the customer perspective, they are responsible configuring their IT environment in a secure and controlled manner in their premises after their purpose. While customers don't communicate their use and configurations to AWS, the AWS does communicate with customers regarding its security and control environment as relevant. AWS disseminate this information using three primary mechanisms. I have mentioned all three primary mechanisms over here. First, AWS works diligently to obtain industry certification and independent third-party attestation. Okay, I'm going to show you the slide. What are the certifications they have? Okay. Second, AWS openly publishes information about its security and control practices in white papers and website content. If we see the aws.amaze.com, you are able to see that information. And finally, AWS provides certificates, reports, and other documentation directly to its customer under NDA whenever they need it. Okay. So this about uh, diagram, but before going to here, sometimes customers are using AWS services, not they are using VPC or EC2 or S3 anything, but sometimes they need AWS services to back up their information or data, whatever it is. So that time, if they are going to use that customer gateway or anything, so that time the AWS will communicate to the customers. Even customers, they don't communicate to that AWS. Okay, so this about the complaints, risk and complaints program detail. And the next slide, we are going to see who is responsible and what. For example, AWS perspective, they are responsible for compute, storage. For example, EC2 or Lambda, that kind of computer services, and storage perspective, EFS, that elastic file storage, or EBS or S3 kind of storage, and database DynamoDB or RDS, or networking, let's say VPC. Okay, so that kind of thing, AWS is responsible, and they will make sure that it's globally available. Okay, you already know that what is the region, like North America is one of the region, or South America is one of the region, Australia is one of the region, and within region, for example, North America, we have several availability zones. For example, US East one, that is Virginia, and the US West one, that is in West Coast in US. Okay, like that availability zone, they have to ensure it's available always. And edge location, they have many edge location within US. Okay, that means number of edge location is high, higher than availability zones. Okay, and number of availability zones is higher than the region. So you already know that. So these are actually AWS responsible thing, but customer responsible perspective, the platform, whatever they are choosing, application, identity and access management, how they want to manage their identity and access management thing, everything is a customer responsibility. and AWS nothing to do because it's a absolute customer choice. And operating system perspective, whether they want to go for Linux or Windows, everything is their option. But AWS provide whatever their options they needed, and firewall configuration, how the private subnet needs to be accessed through network gateway, whatever it is, everything is based on the customer perspective. And the client side data encryption and the data integrity authentication, everything taken by customer, but not AWS because it's a customer side. And the server side encryption, file system and our data, how they want to AWS to manage their encryption, that customer gets to decide and provide. For example, if you are using S3, okay, in that S3, if AWS wants to manage, if customer wants to manage AWS themselves, the key, okay, then they can go for simple S3 SSE kind of encryption. But if customer wants their key processed along with AWS key, that time they can go for KMS, right? Key management services. But customer doesn't want to manage AWS to manage any keys on behalf of them. Then customer can manage that key in their respective, called as a client keys kind of thing. So all those things, it's the customer perspective, how they want to share, that means encrypt their data. And network traffic protection, that is encryption, integrity, identity, everything will be taken care by customer. Okay. Uh, but one thing, if customer perspective, if they are sending information to that AWS, during the, there are two types of encryption is very important for your real life, that is your job related things as well as exam perspective, how you are encrypted during the transit and how you are encrypted in the rest. Okay, so during the transmit means transit means when you are sending the information from your on premises to AWS. Okay, it is typically encrypted by SSL. Okay, but at the rest means after reaching that information to the S3 or any other storage, EBS or EFS in AWS, after storing in this storage, how they want to encrypt. Okay, that is encryption at rest. It's typically KMS, or it depends on the how customer wants to manage. Uh, that is AWS to manage that encryption. So this about the said model. Okay, so you may have some questions. I will talk at the end. And this about there are three types: risk management, control, environment, information security. All are related with this shared responsibility model. Okay, risk management during the AWS REST. Okay, it is taken care by AWS, so customer doesn't need to, no need to think about any security kind of anything. And the environment controlled by AWS. If it is in AWS, if it is on premises, it's managed by customer. And information security perspective, all the information is well secured. Okay, in the REST or during the transit. And AWS Risk and Compliance is designed to build a traditional program that help customers establish and operate in an AWS security control environment. AWS provides detailed information about risk and compliance program to enable customers to incorporate AWS controls into their government frameworks. It's all available in aws.amazon.com. So there are several certifications AWS, that means they have for their services. Okay, these are the some certificates. There are plenty of those things, but it's not limited to the list below, whatever I have mentioned. So these are the some certifications. So these are things you may or may not uh, know all these things, but it's not an exam topic first of all, and you have to understand the shared responsibility model. Okay, that's why I have included these slides. Okay, so this all about our theoretical part, and let's see in the hands-on for these things. Okay, so aws.automation.com. My code is 015036. Okay, so all the um, SNS, SQS, everything under the integration application integration. Okay, you're able to see here. So simple queue service will go here. Okay, so here you are able to see it's a ensure high availability, scale with your business, reduce your cost. Okay, so before clicking get start now, just I want to give you information about the pricing of this SQS. So the SQS perspective, it is actually 1 million SQS queues are free. Okay, beyond that, if you are going for the standard queue, it is 40 cents per queue. If you are going for first in first out queue, then it is a 50 cents per queue. And for free users, 100 queues are free. Then it will be chargeable for 40 cents and 50 cents for standard and F5, F4 queues. Okay, get started now. Okay, what is the queue name you want to go? Okay, I want to go my uh, SQS. Okay, and at this moment I'm into US East North Virginia, and we have two types of queue. Okay, standard queue and first in first out queue. You are able to see the difference, which already I have included in our presentation. So this is what it will be display. Okay, you can choose either one. Okay, but I want to choose a standard queue. Okay, in the standard queue, you can configure queues or quickly create queues. If you quickly create, by default settings will be applicable, but I want to configure the queues. Okay, so if you have quickly created, then all the default values it will be taken and created. But here, as I said, message retention period is by default 4 days. So you can choose 1 minute to 14 days, as I said, and the message size is 256 KB, and delivery delay, how many second you can deliver delay. So uh, I can deliver up to 20 seconds. Okay, it is typically 0 seconds to 15 minutes. Zero, if you have mentioned, it's a short polling. Okay, if you are mentioning anything beyond 20 seconds, then it is called as a long polling. And receive messages wait time, value must be between 0 to 20 seconds. So you can mention as 20 seconds, it will wait. And here by default, I can mention, sorry, by default is 4 days, but I can mention 1 minute. Okay, and message delivery visibility timeout 30 seconds. It will wait till that queue process for that 30 seconds. Then if a lambda trigger will come and process, then it will process within that 30 seconds, or you can mention as many seconds you want to hear. And use redirect this, you want to use the redirect policy, that is send messages into a dead letter queue after exceeding the maximum receives. Okay, if you want, you can click this one, or you can leave it unchecked. Okay, so I'm unchecked this one, so that it will not display in the dead letter queue. Or if you want to analyze all those things, then you can just queue my dead letter queue. Okay, maximum receives, I can mention 2, so that it will be displayed accordingly. So you want to server side encryption? If yes, then how you want to manage that encryption? Okay, data key reuse period comment. Okay, so here CMKARN, that is key management, that is Amazon resource name, uh, how you want to use. You want to use default or how you want to, but at this moment I don't want to go for any encryption, and just creating a queue. And Okay, it's already matching. So I just remove that one, and I have created this queue. Okay, so here what we set, this is my queue, and you have this URL. Okay, you can use this URL for any API calls in any components, and this is the ARN, and this is the queue has been created date and time, and delivery delay 20 seconds. It will wait, and queue type is standard, not first in first out. And here is the visibility time and everything we have set up, and here is the permission. So you can add any permission over here, and you can allow or deny any particular account. Okay, and if you click everybody, okay, the root access, the root user who's ever given, um, okay, for them it's everybody is allowed or everybody is denied, like this. Okay, and there is no specific action, or you can specific action you can define. These people are allowed, all the people allowed to receive only the messages. Okay, and you will not get, they will not allow to send any messages. Whatever you have mentioned over here, only um, that option performed. For example, if they can send and receive messages, you can choose these two options. So now you can add that permission. So now we have created one simple queue. Okay, this about all about queue, and you can delete queue, purge queue, or you can create this queue to SNS topic. Okay, and you can send a message, or okay, if whatever the messages you are receiving from other components, or you are typing here, so these messages will be queued and delivered accordingly. So message attributes to whom you are sending, and all the information you can add over here. Okay, so here you can click send message. Okay, the message identifier, the message has been sent to and will be ready to receive in 20 seconds. Okay, by default, the message will be sent to all the participants whosoever we have selected, everybody in the previous actions, right? So from to them, it's sent to everybody. Okay, so this about all about SQS, and if you are configuring to SNS topic, okay, so select a topic from, okay, already we have created some SNS topic during our billing alarm. Okay, I have selected to subscribe that one. So I have subscribed for that SNS over here. Okay, so if you want to create a separate SNS thing, you can create that also. But now what we did, we have created SQS, and we have subscribed already existing SNS topic. Okay, so here you can click simple notification service SNS, and we have already 3 topics and 3 subscription we have created. Okay, so billing alarm, everything we have created, okay, already. So if you want to create a new topic, you can create. And what is the topic you want to create? This is the my test SNS. Okay, so it's an optional service. If you want, you can display, for example, this is my uh, SNS. Okay, so if you want go for any encryption, you can use that one, but it's optional. Okay, at this moment I have disabled encryption. If you want, you can add that encryption. It's by default it is taken. Okay, and at this moment I will disable this encryption, and just to create topic. So the SNS topic has been created. You can send these messages whenever you are getting to your cell phone. Okay, in that case you have to subscribe uh, that one. So these are the 3 messages we have created so far. Okay, all are it is successfully created, and this one we have created today. And mobile push notification, you already know that how it works. Okay, it typical in mobile platform. Okay, so here, if you are using Android or Apple, whatever it is, a platform application represent a push notification service from your provider to Apple, all the providers. Then it's a hard endpoint as a cell phone. Okay, from there you are publishing the messages, and the SNS will publish according to that subscriber whosoever you get choose. Okay, here text messages called as SMS. You already know that, and how it works. Here is the simple publish text messages. It's a push message to the SNS topic. From SNS, the message will be pushed to that mobile phones. Okay, so it's a metrics here, so that you're able to see how many messages you have received. Okay, here you have to give your if you want to publish a text message. Okay, you have to choose the promotional or transactional, what type of message this one is. Okay, and you have to mention your cell phone number, uh, and you have to give your message. Then if you publish message, then it will be published accordingly. So you can configure any SNS to your cell phone also. Okay, so next one is a simple workflow service. Okay, so if you want to know the information how to launch, then you can click just launch sample walkthrough, or if you know, then you can create a domain, what domain you want to. Okay, for example, this is my test simple workflow service, or simple workflow, like whatever you can use workflow. How many days you want to retain, I can mention as 14 days. And this workflow uh, this workflow is uh, dedicated for uh, Lambda to trigger uh, whenever the decider uh, plan to schedule the activities. Okay, so just to register, you have you register domain successfully. Okay, now you can okay. If you want, you can again newly register, or I don't want, then you can just click that one, and you can deprecate it accordingly. Okay, so for that also you can register, because we don't have anything at this point. So this about simple workflow service, how you are setting up your workflow. And this very simple, you just setting up the domain, and everything will be taken care by simple workflow service. And if you need more information, you just go through this document. That's all. And I think you need not spend much time on this one, because we have already covered everything based on your exam point of view, and your job perspective, interview perspective. So we are good over here. And what else? Okay, so this all about uh, these things, and I'll open for your questions.
Yeah, Satya, this is Jay Kumar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in that FIFO queue, right?
Uh-huh.
So we are saying that after processing, we will be deleting that from queue.
Yeah.
What will happen if there are more than one consumer, and if one consumer is deleting, how about the other consumers will get the message?
No, it's after delivering to that consumer only you are deleting.
Okay, who will delete? The delete will happen by the consumer.
No, you have to enforce the delete command after delivery. So it's not a manual thing; it's a programmatic one.
Okay, the queue itself will take care after
Yeah,
delivering.
you have to. Yeah, you have to mention delete command after delivery. So if you are not mentioning that command, it will still stay in that queue.
Okay. Okay. So if there are 10 consumers, all the 10 consumers are receiving the message, then only that command will be executed.
Yeah.
Okay. That dead letter queue, that is only for reprocessing, is it? Or if there is any error and then we will be rerouting it to a different queue?
No, basically what will happen, how many queues, it's not uh, successful delivery. Okay, so in that case, all the unsuccessful deliveries will be placed in the dead letter queue. Okay, so again, you can analyze why it is not delivered and you can reprocess them. Yeah, basically it's analysis purpose. And if you want to process them, again you have to continue the previous process.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Satya, this is Jiva.
Uh-huh.
Satya, can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Anytime I'm uploading an image or any document, it's never directly goes to the S3 bucket. It always has to go through the simple queue service, and Lambda has to process, add metadata and everything. Then it goes to the S3 bucket.
It depends actually. For example, you are running a website. Okay, so in that website, you are asking people to upload their pictures, and you are adding okay, some information like Happy New Year kind of thing. Okay, consider I will give this example. Um, you are running a website. Okay, in that 31st December, you are announcing that whosoever you want to get a greetings from our company, please, it's a customized one. Please upload your pictures and we are sending that one. So people, everybody is uploading from their cell phones to your website. And you are adding the metadata information, date and time, right? These are the metadata information. Along with you are customizing their picture based on their first name and last name, Happy New Year, and first name, last name, right? So such information, what will happen? The Lambda has to process that information. That time, after processing that first name, last name, again it will be restored back to that S3. So that in S3 you will get two things. Okay, one is the fresh photos, whatever you have received from the customers, and after that, whatever you have updated that information in that pictures, and you have uploaded again into that S3 bucket. So every photos, they have two copies. As I said, one is the customer uploaded, and one is you modified that photos. Okay. So such scenarios, the Lambda function has to work over there to update this information. But apart from that, no, it is typically whenever you are uploading the picture, it will be directly uploaded into 3S3 bucket. No need to call any trigger. If you want to call the triggers, that time only Lambda kind of thing, it will come into the picture.
Thank you.
That's your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any more questions? Okay, so if no questions, thank you so much for everyone for your time.